So hey, how you doing again? This is Lance. I'm the North Dakota Carnivore. Just coming to say, hey, I got a question for you guys. When when you hear the word or the phrase carnivore diet, carnivore, what are you thinking that means? I what do you think of? Are you thinking that it's a high protein diet, a high or a low carb diet? What are you thinking it is? Most people, when they hear it, are thinking that it's a high meat diet, which, if you look at volume, the size, it is. But what a lot of people aren't understanding is that a gram of fat holds 9 calories. A gram of red meat holds 4. So the amount of fat that you need in this diet, you actually need a higher fat than you need protein for calories, not volume, for calories. So I'm going to pull out my Fitbit here. I want to get this information right because there's been a lot of people talking about, your macros and you need to eat a lot of protein and stuff on here, and that's not true. A 16-ounce ribeye. So it's 16 ounces. That's 184 grams for 16 ounces or something like that. But a 16-ounce ribeye gives you 76% of your calories from fat, 24% from protein. So when you're looking at your macros, and I don't care about the calories actually. I'm looking at the fat and the protein. The fat and the protein are what I'm talking about. When I say carnivore is a high fat diet, that's referring to you're getting most of your calories from a fat, whether it be from the fat on the side or the inner marbled fat inside of a steak, or added tallow, added butter, ghee, lard, brown butter bites. Those are fats. So that's what I'm talking about when I say that carnivore is a high fat diet. It's a high fat, low protein, and potentially no carb diet. There are foods out there that have carbs in them that are completely acceptable on a carnivore diet. One of those I can name right now is scallops. I love sea scallops. Those are freaking delicious to me. Some people don't like them, but scallops have carbs in them. It's not much, but they're there. They didn't mess with my blood sugars because I had the proper fat to go with it. So I just want to come on here and I want to point that out that, yeah, there's a lot of different things that go into the carnivore diet, the carnivore lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. There are a lot of different things that go into it. But you'll hear a lot of people say that not to track your macros, don't worry about it. Okay. I disagree with that. I wholeheartedly disagree with it, especially when you're new. When you're new, track your macros. That's one of the most important things to do. Don't track your calories. Track your macros. Track your fat. Track your protein. And everybody is different. So people will respond to the diet in different levels. But a generalization, generally, most people respond great to an 80 or 70, 80% fat to 20, 30% protein macro. That's 70 to 80% of your calories coming from fat and 20 to 30% of your calories coming from a protein. The ribeye gives you right in the middle. It's 76-24, as close as you can get to a 75-25 without adding some extra fat. You could add a little bit extra protein in there, maybe trim off a little bit of fat, half a gram of fat. They'll switch it around. But the whole point is knowing that you're eating the right food. Now, if you eat a New York strip steak, the macros are just a little bit different than that. They don't come out to the same as they do for a ribeye. A sirloin steak is even less fat. You have to know what you're eating. So eating lean cuts of meat, you're going to have to add an extra fat source in there in order for you to come out on the right side of where you need to be. Because getting too much protein will increase your insulin. It'll increase your blood sugars. Your liver will change your protein into a sugar, and your insulin will store that as fat. Ta-da! So knowing the proper macros and how your body responds when you're eating a specific macro does make a difference on the carnivore diet, the carnivore way of life. If you're eating this way to heal, I strongly suggest tracking your macros for fat and protein. Don't worry about the macro for your calories. A 16-ounce ribeye will, if you eat 2 of those a day, you're going to more than have the fat and protein that you're going to need. And most people can't eat 2 pounds of ribeye. They really can't. And it's just not something that a lot of people can do unless you're working out and doing a lot of extra stuff. And, you don't need that much. And if you're eating, twice a day, a 16-ounce ribeye, and then at night and then a few eggs and some bacon in the morning, that's more than what you need for a day for most people. So, but then again, 80-20 ground beef is just a little bit different. I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. You didn't miss me, did you? So, as I was saying, a New York strip steak and a ribeye have different macros. Here's the example. 16 ounces of a New York strip steak has 64% of calories from fat and 36% of the calories from protein. So what does that mean? That means you're not getting the same fat calorie breakdown coming out of this New York strip. In order to hit that 60 or 70-30, which would be like a minimum that you should be going for, you have to add in another fat source. Now, for an example, if you were to add in just 1 tablespoon of butter, Kerrygold butter, 100 calories, that puts you to a 67-33. So that's just 1 tablespoon on top of a New York strip steak and having that with it. In order for you to get that macro where it should be, what would you need? I'm going to say it's probably 3 tablespoons. Yeah, 3 tablespoons puts you just over, must be 2. So a New York strip steak, 16 ounce with 2 tablespoons of butter, Kerrygold butter, that is, because it's got a different content than regular other butters. So that's why I say it's important to track the macros for what you're eating. The Kirkland butter, depending upon which one you get, has different macros than the Kerrygold Irish butter. They're different. So you have to track what you are actually eating. So a 16-ounce New York strip steak with 2 tablespoons of butter gives you a 70-30 split. 70% of the calories from fat, 30% of calories from protein. That's 94 grams of fat to 92 grams of protein. And so, yeah, it makes a difference on how your body heals itself. It makes a difference on if you're trying to lose weight. There's a lot of different things that go into it. So tracking your macros and understanding your fat to protein macros in the ratios that you need, and understanding that a high fat, low protein, zero carb diet is what the carnivore diet really is. And understanding that when I'm saying that, it's talking about the calories from protein, calories from fat, calories from your carbohydrate. Now, if you eat a 36 ounce or 32 ounce, 2-pound ribeye, and you have 5 scallops, and you have 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter with those scallops and with that ribeye, your calories from your scallops are still, or your carbohydrates from your scallops are still going to be, they'll show you the grams that you had, but the calories from it are negligible, and there's still probably a zero. I could probably go back and look and find the last time I had scallops and do that, but I'm not going to. But that's one of the things that a lot of people aren't understanding. This way of eating is actually really simple. Track your calories. No, don't track your calories. Track your macros for fat and protein. Eat until you're full. Unless you're trying to have a bigger meal at night or whatever. I myself, I like OMAD because when I come home at night, I can eat what I want. This week, for whatever reason, I was hungry, so I ate a lot. There were 2 nights in a row where I ate, 2 pounds of steak, along with butter and other stuff. I was eating over 3,000 calories, and I haven't gained any weight this week. But I also eat extra fats because the steaks I've been eating are the New York strip steaks. So I eat extra foods that have higher fat content. Or I actually like to put butter on top of my steaks. I like to cook my steaks in tallow. So I get the extra fat. I get the fat in. And this week I did that. I tracked my fats. I tracked my protein. So I knew that I was getting the right macros. I didn't gain weight this week. I didn't lose weight. I wasn't trying to lose weight this week. That's going to be coming again soon here. I have taken a break from trying to lose weight. I've been trying to maintain my weight. But I used to wear this when I was working out doing Insanity Max 30. That shit's nuts. I tell you what. I haven't done that in a long time. My wife dug this out and said, "This might fit you again." And it does. I am amazed that this fits me. I haven't worn this since probably 2016. About 9 years since I've worn this shirt because I got too big. Yeah. But back to my whole topic today is your macros. Carnivore is a high fat, low protein to zero carb way of eating. And that's calories from fat, calories from protein, calories from carbohydrates. You want a high calorie count coming from your fat, from an animal fat. Butter counts as an animal fat. Ghee counts as an animal fat. Tallow, lard, those are animal fats. That's what you want. You don't want a seed oil of any type in there. Those are not good for you. Those have that linoleic acid or whatever the fuck that is, the omega-6 shit that fucks your body up. You don't want it. Stay away from it. So, high fat, meaning you're getting most of your calories from fat. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. 1 gram of protein from a red meat source has 4 grams or 4 calories or 1 gram. So you want to get most of your calories from fat. That doesn't mean that your plate is this big and it's got that much fat. No, it still has that much protein and it's this much fat. I mean, it's for every inch of every 3 inches of red meat, you need an inch of fat or an inch and a quarter of fat to, if you want to look at it that way. That fat has more calories. That's what you're trying to get. You still have a lot of meat on your plate, but you need the fat to go with it. You want ground beef? Have ground beef, but add butter to it. Add extra tallow to it. When you cook it, don't drain it off. That fat that you have in there is what you need. There's a reason for it to be in there. If you're making, you can have tacos on a carnivore diet, believe it or not. You just have to use a seasoning that doesn't have a sugar or a maltodextrin or a dextrose or some type of sugar in it. I don't care if you have seasonings on your carnivore diet. I use seasonings. Seasonings are seasonings. You're not getting that much. If you do, your body's going to tell you whether or not you should be using what you're using. Listen to your body. There is a taco seasoning that we have in our house right now. I cannot have. I had it once. I woke up the next morning and I felt like I got run over by a truck. Guess what? I haven't had that seasoning since because that was the only thing I had that previous day, actually the previous week, that wasn't a strict carnivore, red meat, butter, beef, butter, bacon, egg kind of thing. When I had that taco seasoning. And it fucked me up. So I listen to my body. I don't have it anymore. I actually use, there's a link in the description down here. I use a Carnivore Companion taco seasoning. That's what I use now. The Carnivore's chef on YouTube, he has a company, Carnivore Companion. They make some really freaking nice seasonings. In fact, I'm going to smoke 3 racks of St. Louis style ribs, either today or tomorrow. I'm not sure which one yet because Father's Day's this weekend. And I'm not sure what we're doing for it. But either today or tomorrow, I'm going to smoke 3 racks of ribs. And I'm going to use the smokestack, and I'm using the gator bite from Carnivore Companion. And I'm going to smoke them damn things, and they're going to be freaking absolutely delicious. I've already done it once. I know how it tastes. It's fucking awesome. I used the smokestack on a pork butt last weekend, and oh my God, was that good. That was so good. I haven't used it on a brisket yet, but I'm going to try it. So, but even doing ribs, doing a pork butt. I've watched quite a few videos on YouTube about, cooking these on a pellet grill. And the one guy I keep watching, he takes all the drippings off the pork butt and he pours it into this strainer. So it separates all the bits on the top, and in the bottom is where all the juices are. And then he sets it down and he lets the liquid separate to the fat, which will rise to the top, and then the seasoned juices on the bottom. And then he pops the little button and he just pours all the juice, and when it gets to the fat, he stops. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? The fat's what you want. Put the fat back in there. That's where the flavor comes from. Stop using that bullshit and use the fat, because the fat's what your body wants. And you can get a good fat content off of a pork butt if you use the fat. It's good stuff. Now, I was actually quite concerned when I got my pellet grill about smoke and whether or not I would have a reaction to the smoking process and the way things are cooked. And so far, I have not had any issues with that whatsoever, which has been awesome because I can see myself using this grill for a long, long time. It's a nice grill. And then part of that, going back to, knowing what you're doing with this stuff, like when I smoke a brisket, we trim a lot of the fat off. I render the fat, the tallow, while I'm cooking the brisket. That gets poured back onto the brisket while it's resting to soak it back up into the meat. Delicious. And it keeps it moist and it keeps it, flavorful. And then you get your fat back. There's ways to do this stuff. You got to make sure that you get the proper macros. Again, I encourage anybody to track your macros. Now, I have a Fitbit, so I use my Fitbit all the time. I always have it on. I use the app on my phone. When I first started carnivore for the first 90 days, I tracked everything I ate. Every food that went into my mouth was tracked. Did I track my drinks? No, because I drank water. That was it. Well, coffee. But coffee doesn't have the calories. Coffee doesn't have sugars. Naturally, I never drank coffee with any other thing other than water and coffee ground. That's I drink straight black coffee. But I tracked everything, so I knew what my body was getting. I'd watched enough videos. I watched videos on the carnivore diet. I did research on it. I watched Dr. Berry. I watched Baker. I watched Hampton. I watched Chafee. I watched Kiltz. I watched Berg. I watched fucking Westman. I mean, I listened to Judy Cho, Steak and Butter Gal, Carrie Mann, Adam Lacey. I watched all of these guys and so many more. Laura Spath actually had a really great video that helped me to quit drinking alcohol. Courtney Luna, she has a great cookbook. There's a community on X, Carnivore Diet. It's been fabulous for me. But I went through all this before I started my carnivore diet. So I knew that 70% of calories from fat to 80% of calories from fat, and 20% of calories from protein, and 30% of calories from protein. I knew those macros before I came into it. And then I'd heard enough people say, don't count your macros. And I heard enough people say, make sure you're getting the right ratio of that. Well, how in the hell do you get the right ratio if you're not tracking it? Got to track it. So I tracked it. First 90 days, I tracked everything. And I had great results. 6 weeks into it, I came off of all my blood pressure medicines. I was on 5 blood pressure medicines, and all 5 are gone within 6 weeks of starting the carnivore diet. I came off of all 5 of them. They weren't controlling my blood pressure to begin with. In the first 6 weeks, I think I lost like 12 or 15 pounds in the first 6 weeks. It wasn't a whole lot of weight. So it wasn't my weight that got my, I was still well over 300 pounds. So it wasn't me losing 16 pounds that caused me to get rid of my blood pressure medications. There's no way. It was tracking the macros. It was getting the proper fat protein ratio so my body could heal. That's what did it. And that's what I was there for. I also came off of my allergy medications. When I stopped taking my blood pressure medicines, my allergy medicine was actually one of the things I put in the little container. So I take that every day, and I stopped taking my allergy medicine too. I've had to use it twice now. That's this spring, and both times it's been because of the smoke. And actually, I probably didn't need to use it. I used it to see if it would help. And I can't really say that it did, because The smoke from Canada has been pretty bad down here, off and on for the last month. There are some days where it's completely unhealthy and we have warnings not to be outside because that's how bad it is. But tracking my macros has helped me to heal my body. If you're doing the carnivore way of eating to heal your body, track your macros. Track them. Make sure that you're getting proper fat. It is a high fat diet. High calories from fat. Low calories from protein. No calories from carbohydrates. No, honey is not from an animal. It's from a bee, which is an insect or a bug. It's not an animal. So no, honey does not belong in carnivore. The best line I've heard about honey and carnivore came from Dr. Ken Berry. Dr. Berry, Dr. Baker, Dr. Chafee, and oh hell, who was the other one? I hate when I do that. But Dr. Berry was, the question came up about, is honey part of carnivore? And Dr. Berry said, no, it's bee vomit. And he said, rat turds come from a rat. That's an animal. But I don't eat that because that's not carnivore either. It's the same with bee vomit. It's not carnivore. It's vomit. So don't eat it. I thought that was funny as hell. Oh, it was Dr. Kiltz. How can I forget Dr. Kiltz? It was Ken Berry, Baker, Chafee, and Kiltz. They're having a roundtable. Go to any of their channels. They've all four of them have it on their channel, I believe. But it was awesome. It's a really good 1 hour listen. And absolutely, if you have questions, ask. I've been on X. I posted the same question on X about what do you think about carnivore? And people have asked questions about it. They've asked me to explain how you get the high fat diet. So I explained it to them. And I have no problem explaining stuff. I have no problem giving you my take on stuff. And that's just my take. I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm not a nutritionist. This is not nutrition advice. This is what's working for me and has worked for thousands of other people who have been successful in doing this way of eating. It's just what works. Leave me a comment. Give me a like, share, subscribe to my channel if this helped you at all or if this made you even think a little bit. But you have questions, ask. I have no problem at all answering your questions. I have no problem at all communicating with you, either on YouTube here or on X. I'm going to post this on X also. I welcome the questions. I'm not trying to stir a controversy. I'm not trying to make people feel bad. I'm trying to help. This way of eating helps people in so many ways. So give it a shot. We'll talk to you later.